All right, today's date is July 27th, 2017. I wanted to throw at everybody a brief training video over some things that I've been touching on in the free chat room. I wanted to touch on this because right now we are in a market that is very difficult to trade. How do I know this? Because I've got a lot of friends that are pretty good traders and they are getting chopped to pieces right now. So I always watch that. I see how other traders are doing. It gives me a pretty good idea of how the market is operating. If I see a lot of people losing, that typically means that the market is rather irrational. So I'm extra cautious when I see that. So right now I'm pretty cautious on the trades. A lot of, like I said in chat, a lot of the higher time frames are hitting the same levels over and over and over and breaking out. And that is creating massive trends right now. So definitely got to be careful. But anyways, the reason for the video is I wanted to show you a pattern that kind of mixes a CRT with some other concepts, including structure. And I want to go over it because these are going to give you guys the best opportunities for trade setups that are going to give you money and not take away your money. So I definitely want to talk about it a little bit. So I've got an example on the dollar CAD I'm going to mention, and then I've got an example on the dollar yen as well. I'll try not to make the video too long, but I first want to touch on the New Zealand CAD because this is very similar, and we've got another trade setup very much like this New Zealand CAD that is setting up right now on a very high time frame on another pair that we're going to go over too. And I want to compare the two and show you why this is probably going to be a magnificent trade to take. So I have got it up in the markup section for the alerts members, by the way. But anyways, the New Zealand CAD. Okay, if you're in the alerts, you saw that we had a buy down here around 92.90. It was yesterday. It kind of created a bottom here where my cursor's at. This is my room demo account, by the way. So this is not a live account. I never show live accounts on here. But anyways, I've already taken half of my profits off up in this area, right up in here. And the rest of it, I plan to take off here. Because, first of all, we have a daily coral we're sneaking up into. The big deal for me is going to be the weekly, though. Usually, the upper band after the first touch of an upper band after a solid sell program is going to be major resistance. And we do have the coral up here as well. So this zone from where we're at up into here is going to be quite a bit of resistance. So we may see a bit of a reversal. And you also notice that in spite of the move up here, we are crossing down on the THV and both lines are red. This is not bullish at all. So this is meant to be a short-term trading opportunity. As far as the entry on this, again, this was my entry. I literally had to stop a few pips below this low here. So we've already reached our 1-to-1 on this, which is great. Realistically, though, we should not have come much below these levels down here. But this was a structured type setup. Again, you had a big push down. This was the ultimate low. And then we had a push up. We kept attacking the coral. And then finally right here, you can see we finally made a significant higher swing high. And we had a bit of a double bottom down here. So because we had a higher swing high, this double bottom becomes a structure CRT down here. I did wait for this to confirm a little bit before I called the trade, but we did get in here, and I have no problem setting a stop right down here, especially when my targets are anywhere from really around just above this high here up into these levels here. But that was the New Zealand CAD. Again, we had a tremendous move down on this pair, and as soon as I saw this massive move up, this was the first indication the trend may be coming to an end because you had a significant amount of buyers coming in all of a sudden. And if you zoom out a little bit over here, you can see this is a popular bounce area. So this is a major level down in this region here, anywhere from here, the double bottom, down to here. And it did bounce off the double bottom. That's where we found our support. But again, the idea here is we created a new swing high and we already had a double bottom here. So this becomes structure support. This is why I wanted the trade. And again, we've seen a tremendous move down, and now we're just beginning to start to see new buyers coming in and the selling evaporate. So that's why this is such a good trade. But notice this pattern. And the other one I want to show you, if you're not in the alerts, definitely take a look at this. The pound CAD, I believe it is. Let me pull it up here. Yes, the pound CAD. Very similar setup over here on the pound CAD. Again, we have a top here, big push down, small pullback, push down, small pullback, push down, small pullback, push down. We create a double bottom, and then we have a massive run up. This should grab your attention. Not only do you have massive buying coming in off these levels down here, but you have a new swing high. So if price can come down into these zones down here, you're going to have a tremendous buying opportunity. If I pull it up on the monthly chart, you can see it right here as well. As we push down into these lows down here, you can see the THV is green and still rising. So there's a lot of momentum to the upside here. So the other thing I want to note too is this swing low right here. The THV is much lower now than what it was over there. So we have a hidden divergence, which is a very bullish thing. This tells me price is very overextended right now. You can see it even on the stochastics. We're very oversold down there as well. So what is the entry zone on this? You have a lot of support right down here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of support before this giant move up. You can see we're trying to bounce here. But the ultimate support level is right here. We should not go below this level down here. So my loading zone on this would be right around this area, anywhere from really 157 to 162. Realize that's a 500 pip spread. But the thing you have to realize, this is a weekly chart setup. So I don't know if it'd be a daily or not. I guess you could kind of look at it on a daily time frame as well. But to me, the pattern is very, very strong on the weekly chart here. So 500 pip spread is not really that much. And a lot of times what these will do is these will go back up to the last swing high, or at least a 50% retracement of it. It's very common to go up here. So if it were to go from 157, 158 all the way up there, you're talking a 2,000 pip run. So 500 pips no longer looks like it's that much. But I promise you, this level is going to be massive support down here. So this should definitely be creating some kind of bounce down here. So this is definitely an area you want to watch. But again, this is a structure type trade setup and a bit of a CRT down here as well. If you were to get rid of this little wick right here from the flash crash, this would be monster support. But I'm kind of ignoring this because, again, it was the flash crash. And this is going to vary depending on broker because the spreads on different brokers were just phenomenal. But anyway, again, very much like the New Zealand CAD that we're in right now, 4-hour time frame again. Notice what's happened here. We've created a bottom, and then we created a new swing high. We had a nice slow pullback, which was another reason why I bought this. Big push up, slow pullback. THV went green, so we got in. Again, compare that to the pound CAD over here on the weekly time frame. We're coming back down. Not quite as slow. There's a little more momentum to the downside, but still not a really strong, fast move to the downside. It's taking several candles to get here. So, again, this region down here, probably going to take a little bit of a while to create a bottom, but definitely an area you want to watch. So this is very similar to the New Zealand CAD, and you can see what the New Zealand CAD has done. We have actually gone right back up to those highs, and now we've broken up higher. So there is a potential for a massive, massive reversal on the pound CAD. Looking on the weekly, again on the monthly chart, you're going to see what's down here. We came down here once. We bounced. This could potentially be making a major double bottom and then heading back up here. So, and by the way, if we do create a bottom here and go back up to this level, this is going to be a massive, massive, massive area of resistance that you're going to watch probably on the daily time frame, again, because this was such a tremendous move off the level. So if you're looking for a higher time frame trades, a sell up here on the daily time frame is going to be awesome once we get there. and then of course the buy down here, which is much more likely to happen much quicker. So definitely watch that down here. So those are a couple things I want to mention. The other thing I want to go over real quickly here is the dollar yen. Again, this is a structure CRT. I want to really push this point home, because if you can understand this, then this is going to be your key to getting a really high reward to risk trade setup with a tighter stop and very few losses. These are my favorite ones to take. But anyways, looking at the 4-hour time frame, this is what's going on here. You have a top up here. You can see price pushed all the way down here. Small pullback. Second push. Small pullback. Another push. Small pullback. Another push down. Big pullback. So this right here, you see we have a lot of buyers coming in to the market. So if price can push all the way back down into this area of support, because there were so many buyers off of it in relation to past swings, that's very important, then you're going to have a tremendous buying opportunity. Now, if all of the swings were this big in the trend, I wouldn't be near as excited about this level down here. But because all of the swings were small and we had a huge move off of this level, this now becomes a very, very key level. That is essential that you understand that. So what you want to do is you want to go down to a lower time frame, and you want to see if you can find a nice trade setup off of those levels. The one thing I want to mention here too is you can see this is a nice head and shoulders bottom. You can probably see it even better on the 1-hour time frame. Again, you have a bit of a head and shoulders here. Head and shoulders are the strongest CRT zones that you can get yourself into. And again, remember, usually the bounce is going to be at the shoulder and not the head. So the shoulder can be anywhere from here, this wick here, to this wick here. The head is basically going to be right down there. So you can see we definitely stopped at the shoulder, and then we bounced straight up. We went from 110.77 all the way up to 110.72. That is a 95 pip move. And again, remember, this is a head and shoulders. Rarely will the market go much below the head in a head and shoulders. If it does, it's probably not going to work. The other thing is, this is, well, I guess not really a structured trade. Sort of, not really though. So scratch that. The main thing I want you to take home here though is the fact that on the 4-hour time frame, we had massive buying coming in off of this level as compared to the small moves in the past. So this becomes a very, very key level. And then again, the 1-hour time frame, you have a nice head and shoulders bottom. And again, head and shoulders barely ever fail. Looking at on the 30-minute time frame, you can also see we had a max move when we came down to this level. The other thing I want you to notice is going to be this. We created this massive move down here. THV dropped all the way down here. We pushed up. THV pushed up. And then price slowly came back down into these levels down here. And THV was green, moving up, and refused to drop. This is massive bullish momentum on the THV. This makes this very, very attractive. Now, if price would have crashed down here, this would have been less attractive to me because you're catching a falling knife. However, you had a small pullback and then price started to grind down into these levels with lots of divergence. So you had divergence, you had a head and shoulders, and then you had this price structure right here saying, hey, this is an ultra powerful level. So where did price stop at? Price stopped at the quarrel on the 1-hour time frame, and it also stopped at the quarrel on the 4-hour time frame. As far as the daily chart, not a lot to see. There was a quarrel on the daily time frame, but we had already tested it a couple of times, so not a big deal. But the thing right here on this is your stop loss should be absolutely no more than 1 bar below the lower. So your entry would have been here, stop loss 1 bar below, about down here. And so you can see that from this level we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars. We didn't quite get into the low, but imagine getting into the low down here, and your stop would have been 1 bar below the low. So if you would add partial position here and here, your average is here, 1.5 bar stop on average, and it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 bars, which is basically a 4 to 1 if you would have played out the entire move here. But again, I want you to be able to see these. These are the safest ones to trade, especially in a market like this, so pay very close attention. The other one I want to show you too, I've been talking about this dollar CAD, this level down here, for quite some time, so I wanted to bring it up to all the free members too, and I want to show you what's going on here. First of all, we have the top on the dollar CAD weekly chart. Let me get rid of this. The top on the dollar CAD weekly chart is right up here, 145.52, 146 area. We had a big move all the way down to here. And then you can see we had this second leg up, well, this leg up anyways, a very, very, very long leg up. It literally created a bottom back in May of 2016, and the top was April 30th, 2017. So it basically took 1 year to create this leg. So I saw price crashing down into these levels right down here. This right here is the base of this entire leg. Because it is the base of the leg, this now becomes a master level of support. The problem with this is I could not see it on my chart on the daily time frame. So that kind of made me disinterested in the level as a CRT. Let me draw the bottom. The bottom's right here. This is not a really great formation for a low. Now, if there would have been a massive consolidation with big candles down here, I would have definitely been interested in the trade. What do I mean by that? If you would have seen a formation like this, creating this bottom, I would have been much more interested in the level, but this is really small candles down here and then just a powerful move up. So because this is more like a single low than a big consolidation at the low, not as interested in it because the size of your candles and the size of your formations matter a ton when it comes to trading. Never forget that. So this was not real attractive because it wasn't a big level. And on top of that, this is a major, major, major crash. And again, like I said, on my template, I can't see it, so that adds a little bit of risk too. So I did not take the trade. But again, I did see this, which added a lot of strength to the New Zealand CAD because I assumed this was going to bounce down here, which was going to push the New Zealand CAD up as well. But initially, the beginning of the New Zealand CAD move actually was New Zealand strength, but now it's being carried by USD CAD, CAD weakness. So that's why the New Zealand CAD continues to rise up because New Zealand dollar is pulling back a little bit right now. But at any rate, I also noticed the other thing I want to mention on this too. Not only was this the base, not only was this a max move, even though the candle formation was weak over here, you can see that we were already crossed up and moving up as price sank into the bottom down here. So again, if you're taking a CRT like this, even though it's risky, not good enough for me, your minimum stop loss on a CRT should be 1 bar. So about 130 pips, you were easily within that range, and now we are popping. So I say all that to say this. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. I want to show you this. Or maybe it's a 1 hour. 1 hour time frame. You can see these big moves down, this big move down, consolidation, another push down, small move up, push down, small move up. The moves up are very, very small, while this right here, this is a really strong move up. You're seeing a lot of new buyers coming in down here, and it is a major area of support that we have hit. So if price were to retrace back down into these levels down here, this USD CAD becomes very similar to this USD JPY down here. Same concept at play right here. You had a big, big, big move down on USD CAD, barely any pullbacks whatsoever, and then all of a sudden you hit a major level and you see a lot of buyers stepping in because there were so many new buyers coming in down at these levels as compared to in the recent past. This is going to be a very powerful level for the market. So if we come down here, ignore this wick, by the way. This is another head and shoulders pattern. So if we were to come down here, maybe let's say on a 15-minute time frame, this is going to be really big support, and this is going to be support as well down here. It's most likely to bounce around the 124.40 level, which is going to be the shoulder here, but there's going to be additional support down here. And of course, a stop loss on something like this would be really no more than 1 bar below the low here is sufficient. But this is definitely something I would be watching if it came back down here. We are hitting the 4-hour coral, which is a popular sell level. So, but again, keep in mind the daily THV is green. Let me zoom in a little bit here. It's got a lot of momentum to the upside. So what's going to happen if this does pull back? This is going to remain green and continue to rise because the momentum is so strong on this. Even this final push into support, you can see the THV was green and rising. So if we pull back down into these levels, this is definitely a buying opportunity for me. And again, I showed you where the stop loss would be just down here. I have a hunch that we probably aren't going to pull back down into these levels till we push up a little higher. But we'll see. Anything can happen, especially because we are in such a strong trend. But again, the key in this is massive buying coming in off these levels down here, and the THV is pretty solid and green and pushing up. So this definitely looks like I should be looking for buying opportunity down here. But again, the point I'm trying to push home in this video is this. Pay very close attention when you're into a trend. Pay very close attention to the size of the moves the market is making. And then if you see something change like this right here, like I said, a lot of small moves up in this entire trend here, and then all of a sudden we have a big powerful move up, this is indicating there may be a shift in momentum. So this low then becomes a massive area of support. Keep in mind this was a head and shoulders bottom. So we have a bottom in place here, and we did create a higher swing high right here. When was the last time we created a higher swing high? If you go through price on this 1-hour chart, this big move down, there was not one area where you had a higher swing high. This is literally the first time this has happened in this entire run here. And this has been about 3 weeks here, going on 3 weeks. So this should definitely be grabbing your attention because it is a higher swing high now. This becomes a structure level. So you have structure down here, a lot of new buyers. So please make sure you're watching these levels down here because this should definitely hold up as a nice CRT on a lower time frame. But again, this is the best CRT trade you can take when you have structure like this and you have momentum shifting like this in the market. So please make sure you're watching for these trades because in a market like this, these are going to be your money makers. And because the shift in momentum is happening, it's new, these are more likely to run a really long way as a CRT than a regular CRT. So not only do these have a bit tighter stop, but there is a lot more potential for gains, and the win rate is also much higher. So I just want to share that video today. So if you have any questions at all on this or anything else, as always, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Have a great week, guys.